Welcome back, everybody. This is part 2 of the painting of the Millennium Falcon lower hull. So the next section I'm going to be painting, there are all of these red and yellow spots. Let me break this out for you. Make sure this is the lower hull. So as an example, you can see here there's some red. Down here we have a yellow and some grays, and of course we have red and grays, and the very important ones are these reds down here and all these spots. So I'm going to be getting those painted this time because of the additional parts and stuff that's going to be getting put on. So one of the things with the red, everybody recommends, or not everybody, but a lot of people recommend using flat red, the Tamiya flat red. That's what's in the magazine. That's what they recommend. A lot, but the flat red is too vibrant. There's a thought that you could do the flat red and then just with some weathering and that kind of stuff. Weathering being what makes it look dirty. You could change that flat red to something more appropriate. But then there's also people who have used gray and painted the red over the top of the gray and to get an idea of what it is. Apparently you put the red on lightly until you kind of get the shade that you want. So I've tried two different colors of gray. Funny enough, both of these are primers. So this is testers, or not testers, um, Rust-Oleum's gray primer, and this is some sort of I wouldn't say cheap, but it's not like Rust-Oleum or what's the other one? Krylon. It's not one of those two. It's just kind of like this other one. Somewhat generic. So it's obviously a lighter gray. The neutral gray that I got when I bought all these other colors, that was part of the recommended colors. That is one of the ones that they recommend. I don't know what color this comes out as, so one of the things I thought was I'm going to try painting these first. I also have these other gray spots over here that I could paint over as well, just to kind of get an idea of how those work. Also, the yellow will be too vibrant, so that will get toned down a little bit as well. But I'm not going to worry about the yellow just yet. I want to figure out the red because there's a lot more red than there is the yellow. There's only like one or two little spots of yellow. So I'm going to go ahead and use this as a test, and also as a test. This piece I had originally used white primer, and it was significantly lighter. And in fact, it's still fairly light, probably because I did a little bit heavier color, but it's not so bad. It blends in pretty well. Previously, after I used the white primer and then painted the base color, it was horrible. So what I did with this one was I did half of that color and half of that color as primer. So this side was the lighter primer and this side was the darker primer. And so the idea was to see if you could tell much of a difference. And honestly, I can't. I can tell you this much. It's much darker and not as bright than it was with the white. So I should have probably shared what that white looked like just so I could demonstrate it to you. But alas, too late. I was kind of panicking wanting to get it done. So I'm going to go ahead and get this red mixed up, get it put into my airbrush, and then I'll get that painted. We'll come back and see what it looks like, and then if we can find something that works, we'll move on from there. See you back in a moment. Well, here we are. We're back. So I have the red painted, and this is the dark primer. This is the light primer. This is no primer. and you can kind of get an idea for what that color is going to be like. This is the neutral gray, and this one I left the masking on, so it's got a more of a uniform coating there. So that kind of gives you an idea what that's going to look like. This here, what I did was I did the neutral gray here, the light primer there, and the dark primer there. And this gives me a pretty good idea of what they're all going to look like. And so, for instance, these two match, right? Those two match in color. These two here, these would be matching if they were painted the same. I'd actually done a couple of coats on that one. So that's why it's, this one's a little bit lighter coated. And then this one, these two will be matching as well. Now it's interesting because maybe it's the light. No, it's actually, these ones seem a lot more vibrant, particularly in the camera. At least on my monitor, these ones are way more vibrant than what they are in real life. I mean, granted, this one's pretty vibrant. Being flat, it's kind of not bad. And actually, it wouldn't be absolutely horrible, this color, in real life. It wouldn't be absolutely horrible with that. And then have some weathering over the top. So I can understand why people would say that. But in reality, especially the way this one came out, I don't know. That one almost seems a bit dark. This one, I'll have to compare some pictures and how these came out. But I would almost say I don't want to go too dark. That is way too dark. I could add some more. I could have added more red to that and brighten it up a little bit. I did add some more red to this one, and that did brighten it up a smidge. But this one's very, very light in comparison. So, and I just made sure that I painted them. Uh, I just left the seams there, so I painted this one, and then I covered it up, painted that one, and then I covered them both up, and I painted this one in the middle with the primers, and then I painted all of them red together. So, yeah, I'll have to do some comparisons with some of the images I have and whatnot, and see which one comes out best. But I'll make that decision, and then I will start masking stuff off so I can get them painted. Catch you guys back when it's time to mask. Well, here we are. I've just started taping off the first section. And this first section that I'm taping off right here, this is actually this is actually going to be yellow. So it's kind of got a bit of a weird shape to it. But hopefully it won't be too bad. The hard part that I'm finding for sure is, there's a lot of different shapes and stuff, and trying to get everything around those shapes is difficult, to say the least. And I'm just using my fingernail and whatnot to, as they say, burnish it down, make sure that it's down. Okay, so this next section, I'm going to be doing this. Let me bring up the picture here. I'll be doing this red section here. And looks like part of it is the landing gear. So let's break out the landing gear covers here real quick. So it's one of these two. So you can tell these ones were done with white primer, and you can tell how much lighter they are. So they're going to need some extra help anyway. All right, there's this section here. Now we're going to focus on the tail section. So I believe there's 3 that I have to do, 1 here and like 2 here, I believe. Let me get that mapped out and figure out where we're going with that and all that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so next section, we need to tape off this square right here, and then we're going to tape off, I believe it's this one and these 2. Let me just bring those images up. Yeah, so these 2 here and this one here. Those will be all of the ones that we're going to do there. Now this one is interesting because it's not it doesn't follow this 100%, so it'll be interesting to get that taped off properly, especially to try to do it. We might do it with this tape here. Never really used this tape much, but it might be a little bit easier to tape some of this off with this wider tape. So you may be wondering, I didn't try to curve this because in the picture, I don't think they curved it either. And then I've heard that before, that they didn't really try to follow the curves of certain things, because you got to remember that um, they were trying to get this built in a hurry, you know, and so they were more or less just slapping it together, and all that kind of stuff. They just wanted to, and knowing that it was getting filmed, it wasn't going to be like, you weren't going to have the close-ups, like super close-up to the thing. Plus, it's always in motion, so it wasn't like it was, come on, it wasn't like it was standing still and they were getting close-ups of it just sitting there. So, yeah, they didn't take a lot of great care. It was more of the sense of different things and what have you. So that's what we're going for. And this one right here is going to be ever so light in the gray that it's going to get. So I'm going to go ahead and get it masked off now so as to be prepared for it. So one last one, and then we'll be done with this section anyway. How's that? Okay, so this is going to get majority of everything. Let's kind of get this back here to where we can see. So we're going to do red here. Sorry. So we're doing red on these. This is a very light gray. This is going to be the red. This square here will be red. This will be like a medium gray, and this will be a medium gray. Probably use the neutral gray first, and then for the ones that have the red over it, we'll just spray over the top of the neutral gray. This is going to be yellow. This section here will be red, gray, gray, yellow. And that is everything that we got going on there. And before I start spraying, I will burnish down all of these pieces of tape, so that help prevent any bleed over or anything like that. So rest assured that won't be an issue, or if it is, it's going to be very minor. So I'll go get the paint ready to go, and we'll be able to get this painted, and after that we can start putting everything on. Of course, I'll probably have to paint those parts too. So let me go prep all that, and we'll be back after these messages. Okay, so we're going to start off with some yellow, and we have two spots to paint the yellow. One is on the outer hull of where the loading ramp is, and the other spot is over here, this little weird shaped thing over there. And so we'll get the yellow painted, and then we'll let it dry and do the stuff, and then we'll move on to the next thing. So let's go ahead and start painting some yellow.
Alright, so that is the yellow. So we'll let that yellow set up. I'm going to go clean out the airbrush and everything. We'll come back with the next color, which will be a light gray. And we'll do that up here on the boarding ramp as well. Okay, so this time we're going to be going with this really light gray. And I believe this is the same gray that I used on two of the louvers. No, not really the louvers, the actuator arms. I believe it's the same gray. If it's not, I always thought it should have been. In the end, it doesn't matter. Like, it's just you're getting the feel for stuff. So we're going to paint these two here. And then we're going to paint this one here in the middle. So let's go ahead and make that happen. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, I think that the model was painted completely different. So next we're going to be going with neutral gray, and we'll be painting all of these other spots here that are unmasked to include this section here. So we'll get that prepped and ready to go. Okay, well, here we are. It's this is what's known as a neutral gray. It's going to be darker than the previous color that I painted, at least it better be. And here we go. All right, that's all the gray. A little touch-up spot here. That's all the gray, and finally we'll come back with red, but I gotta clean that up real quick. Well, it didn't come out perfect, but I got it mostly cleaned up, and not much I can do about it. I could spray over it real quick, but I'm not going to worry about it. It's the Falcon, it's supposed to be dirty, so as long as I get the nastiness out, we're good to go. Alright, next will be red. Here we are with flat red. Alright, well, that's all the red. I'm going to clean out the airbrush, and then we'll take this over and unmask it at the desk.
Well, here we are. We've completed the painting. Let's go ahead and start the unmasking. See just how horrible of a job I did. Hopefully we don't have too much bleed through. Almost all done. 2 pieces left. 2 pieces left. Come on. There we go. So, this is by far not all of the painting we have to do. Of course, looks like I got some cleanup to do there. I may mask this off and give this just a quick base coat spray just to get rid of that because I don't think I can clean it up now. We'll go ahead and give it a shot. All we're going to use is thinner, and we'll see how that goes. Just a spoonful of thinner helps the paint go away. Yeah, got a good portion of it. There. I won't worry about any of the rest of it then. Came off pretty well. That is one of the reasons why you use the Tamiya Insignia White, because it's a I can't think of the name of it now, what type of paint it is. I'd have to grab it. I'll post it in a in a text up here. So obviously that's extremely bright. That will get lightened down. This yellow over here is extremely bright. I'm pretty happy with how the grays all came out. I actually like the fact that the grays are not like perfectly covered like this one here. You can really see it where both of these, you can kind of see how like this one's pretty splotchy and stuff like that. Even the reds, there's kind of some lighter and darker colors. This one here, this red here, that one, it's got some bright spots and some, whatever. And then you can even see some white through there where I didn't quite get it painted like in some of the nooks and crevices. And of course, these grays over here, they are very splotchy as well. And the yellows, although they're very bright, like you can see kind of some lighter spots and stuff as well. So next time we'll be able to start adding some of the other details that needs to get put on here. That will conclude this video. And so thank you everybody for watching. I appreciate it. I got some overspray here. I'm going to let it go. See my overspray? Can you see it? Right here. I'm going to let it go. There's some overspray in there too. I'm not concerned. Oh, lots of red in there. I wonder if that's from the paper towel I just used. Who knows? Could be off my fingers. I'm going to let it go. All right. Thank you, everybody. May the force be with you always.